What I was supposed to say was welcome back to CROYA. We have been away for a long time, and there's been a lot of things that we've been able to do, but it's been very different. Before we get started, I would love it if the ladies in the back, and is Matt back there too, would fill in the front seats. And I know that's a difficult challenge, but we want the people that come in late not to have to sit in the front row. You guys are the best. See, like there's people coming in right now. All right, so welcome to CROYA's recognition event for 2020-2021. We're very excited that you're all here. It's definitely a different experience to see everybody together. We've had some good moments this year, which have been very meaningful, but obviously this is a time like none other, and we want to be able to recognize you guys for all the things that have been accomplished. Normally, we'd be enjoying this event with a good meal as we acknowledge the seniors and the executive committee members who have contributed to the meaningful and joyful times of the organization we know and love, CROYA. Please know that we are celebrating nonetheless, and we've been doing so all year. Celebrating, supporting, engaging, being there, and we kept going throughout it all, because that's what CROYA does. From our true pandemic kickoff event of Battle of the Bands last summer in the parking lot, to the drive-thrus we held handing out CROYA merch and treats, to the amazing videos we cataloged on YouTube, and if you haven't seen them, they're definitely binge-worthy, to the in-person spring retreats held at CROYA for the first time since I've been here, and that's almost 3 decades. We made things happen, and we did it together. The youth, the staff, the CROYA board, the CROYA Foundation, and our City of Lake Forest and Village of Lake Bluff partners. This class of seniors has been dedicated, caring, willing to lead under very difficult circumstances. Our staff challenged them many times, and we found they were resilient and passionate about providing opportunities for the youth of our community. We spend more hours than you could imagine determining how to best run programs in this under the guidelines and restrictions, and to make the CROYA facility available to the youth this past year. Heck, we even invited 5th and 6th graders to our after school hours when the parents of these kids told us that they had nothing for them to do. We're thankful for all the support we received during this year, knowing that we're on the way back to some sense of normalcy. They say hindsight's 20/20. I'm just glad 2020 is behind us. We celebrated CROYA's 40th anniversary in many ways, including commissioning the painting of the CROYA mural at Illinois Road in McKinley, which you can find out all about in another one of the must-see videos on YouTube. We published CROYA's 40th anniversary magazine, which you're all receive tonight before you leave. And we're ready to celebrate in true CROYA form the actual anniversary, the 41st anniversary on June 6th, which is a Sunday coming up, where we're gonna have live music and food and fun out in the parking lot from 5 to 9 p.m., and you're all invited. We just ask that you go on the CROYA website, click on the link so that you can RSVP. We have live bands coming that got their start playing for CROYA back in the 80s when CROYA began. And we also have a youth band called Flame that's going to be the headliner. Don't miss it, right, Casey? One other date to remember is Monday, June 21st, when at 6:30 p.m. on this Monday night, CROYA will be spotlighted at City Council. And there's a number of things that we do each year, and the City Council is really appreciative of us coming and sharing what we've been up to at CROYA. Now I'd like to thank some of the guests that we have tonight that have really made a difference in the history of CROYA. Our first and esteemed guest is Gene Hotchkiss, who helped start CROYA 41 years ago. Gene has been a mentor of mine for the 26 years that I've been at CROYA, And I look forward to sharing with you a little bit more about Jean later today. Margot Martino is not able to be with us tonight, but she's watching via live stream. Hi, Margot. We're looking forward to seeing her the next time we can. Margot was really the person that was hired back in the 80s. That was the turning point between CROYA being an organization that was planned by adults to an organization that was planned by youth. She was the one that made the determination that if the youth weren't in charge, the organization wasn't going to go anywhere. We also have Jason Wisha, the City of Lake Forest city manager back here, and Sally Swarthout, the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry. These two are my bosses, and these two are the ones that give me the ability to make things happen for the staff, who then in turn work with the students and make the magic occur. I want to thank our board members that are attending tonight, Carolyn Bielski, who's been with us a number of years, also a teacher at the high school, and really been a wonderful person to partner with. And I'll talk a little bit more about Carolyn and the work she's done with me a little bit later. We also have Chris Carr, who's our Village of Lake Bluff liaison, and really excited for all the work that she's been doing with us to keep us connected to Lake Bluff. And of course, you may all remember Matt Carr, the longest standing CROYA member in the history of the 41 years. That's because he got to start in 5th grade and he went all the way through college. All right, so did I miss, are there other board members that have been able to attend tonight? I know there's a couple out of town, I just didn't want to miss anybody. And before I go any further, I'd like to just acknowledge that anyone who lives in the 3rd ward of Lake Forest, we're looking for a new board member. And if you are dedicated and interested, we only meet once every 2 months. It's a pretty easy job, but you have to be passionate and show high energy and high support of CROYA. Talk to your kids about it, see what you think, and give me a call. The CROYA Foundation members, I don't think we have any of those here tonight. Our Susie Colby, the teacher from Deer Path, is our president. Henry Sackman is our treasurer. He's a Lake Forest Academy alumni. And Jennifer Karras, one of the city aldermen in Lake Forest, is one of the directors. And now I would like to turn things over to Catherine so we can get started with the agenda. Thank you.
Feels good to take my mask off. Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Gray, and I'm the high school youth worker. I've worked at CROYA for a little over 1.5 years, with about 5 of those months being considered normal. But even with everything going on, I've still managed to create so many new relationships and have a ton of fun. I've loved the afternoons laughing in my office, the high school meetings, the retreats, and every random moment in between. Oftentimes, we stress the importance of attendance at high school meetings on Wednesday nights, which has been a struggle this year with 19 sports in a season at one time, school activities and clubs, and oh yeah, a global pandemic. This year's exec has handled that stress with incredible grace and resiliency. Instead of dwelling on what it could have been, they embraced all the changes here at CROYA and helped it stay the warm and welcoming place they love. I think I can speak for the entire CROYA staff by saying that we are so proud of you, and we can't thank you enough for rolling with the punches. Now I would like to recognize a few members of the exec board specifically for their hard work this year. A few of the positions on exec that carry a consistent amount of leadership are Foundation Liaison, CROYA Service and Leadership Chair, CROYA Vice Chair, and Chairman. These students attend board meetings, run community service events, and act as leaders among exec. As tradition, we like to recognize these members with the Dr. Seuss book, Oh, the Places You'll Go, as a keepsake for the future. First, I would like to recognize Anna Seifert, our Foundation Liaison. Anna has been such a consistent light for me at CROYA, from my very first day on the job up until now. I know I can always count on Anna to participate in events. We find from time to time that high schoolers get wrapped up in who is going to be at an event or whether or not the project will look good on their college resume, but not Anna. Anna shows up because she genuinely loves CROYA and doesn't mind interacting with new people, trying new things, or putting herself out there. She is even the president of our most dedicated member of our Walk and Talk Club every Thursday. We can't thank you enough for your time and effort, Anna. So if you'll come up here. Okay. Next, I would like to recognize Ryan McFadden, our CROYA Service and Leadership Chair. I don't think Ryan is here, but we're still going to say good things about him. A big part of what we do at CROYA is service, and although this past year has looked really different, Ryan was always ready with new ways we could serve our community. Ryan has always been a constant participant in our service projects at CROYA and is a face we all look forward to seeing at service events. Ryan has also been very involved in the music part of CROYA and has played at a number of our live shows. I've only had the pleasure of seeing him play once, but considering his band won Battle of the Bands, I'd say they were pretty good. I also had Ryan in my retreat group, and he did such an amazing job making sure that his group members felt welcomed and heard. I know they were all grateful to have him as a leader. All I can say is, I'm so glad Ryan didn't move before I had the chance to meet him. Thank you for everything. So we can give him a round of applause in case he wants to watch later. Now I'd like to recognize our Vice Chair, Abby Clark. Abby was one of the first kids I met at CROYA, and she has been making things fun since that moment on. She was active as a retreat leader and of course involved in the annual poinsettia sale with Annie and Anna by her side. We could always count on Abby to cold call all the people who hadn't picked up their plants yet. As Vice Chair, Abby has always brought humor and a sense of community to the CROYA meetings. The few times Abby had to lead a high school meeting, she did so with the warm spirit of CROYA that we all know and love about Wednesdays. I always see her talking to someone I didn't know she knew or introducing herself to first-time CROYA participants. Abby, thank you for always bringing so much joy to CROYA. Come on up. And last but not least, I'd like to recognize Kerrigan Weston, our CROYA chairwoman. Kerrigan was voted into the chair position last spring and has been a role model ever since. Kerrigan, it has been so exciting to see you lead CROYA this year. I can't imagine spending this year working side by side with anyone else. You always make me laugh and you care deeply about your fellow exec members and CROYA youth. I can always trust you to talk about the serious stuff, but also remain optimistic and fun. I haven't seen anyone be able to rally a group together and make positive change the way you do, and you should be very proud of that. I will never forget our times together in a retreat small group and about life in my office after school or during. Thank you for everything. CROYA is truly a special place because of you and the community you have built this year. I can't wait to see you thrive at Mizzou. You will do so many great things in the future. Wait, stay up here. Oh.
Sounds good. Hi, guys. I'm Kerrigan Weston, and I was chairwoman this past year. I wanted to thank everyone on exec for such an amazing year. I know I sound like a broken record constantly reiterating this, but in spite of everything going on, it feels like nothing at CROYA has changed at all, although Rick has gotten a little less patient with us. But truly, CROYA has been a constant for all of us, and for me and so many others has acted as our rocks throughout high school. For that, I wanted to thank each and every one of you for all the hard work that you have put onto the exec board and for all of your dedication towards CROYA. I am so proud to have led such an outstanding group of people. And with that being said, I can't wait to see the things that the new exec board will do for CROYA next year, with the lovely Jacqueline Rubin leading the pack. I want to thank each of you individually, and you have left the new exec board with very big shoes to fill, but in the hands of the people who are utmost capable of doing so. Abby Clark, as vice chair, you were my go-to girl, and you were there when I needed you most, even on the shortest of notice, which was like 20 minutes one time, but you were the most loyal person to lean on inside and outside of CROYA. Thank you for welcoming welcoming me as a member of the Girls Group 2.0. Ryan McFadden, who is not here. As CSL chair, Ryan McFadden led B and Nick with such great guidance. Him and I have been OG exec kids, and I have loved every minute on exec these past 3 years with him by my side. Fun fact, Ryan has never gone to an actual election, and his first year, Gabby Moore spoke on his behalf holding a fat head of his face. B and Nick, you were both extraordinary retreat leaders this spring, and I know that the new leaders will have a lot to look up to and learn from in you both. Anna, as foundation liaison and president of Walk and Talk, you shine such a positive light at CROYA and show incredible dedication. You are truly everyone's problem solver here. Mimi, Taylor, and Tommy, your fun facts were questionable at times, but you never failed to make people laugh. The rookies this year have a lot to learn from, Scott especially. Pride and Abby, I don't know if anyone is familiar with their acting skills, but these ladies truly deserve Oscars for the shows that they put on for people. Watching their videos for the meetings always got people excited, and there were no two better people to advertise the meetings as public relations. Ben and Avery, as parliamentarians, you were both so welcoming. Advertise the meetings as public relations. Ben and Avery, as parliamentarians, you were both so welcoming, and the amount of people you recruited to come to CROYA made such a huge impact on our weekly meetings. You guys are basically their first impression at CROYA, and I'm sure all the new people loved being asked what liquid they would drown in at their first ever meeting. Louise and Claudia, as cable tech, you both took wonderful pictures that we all recycled for the entire year. As seniors, a lot of us will be able to look back on those photos as memories of our time at CROYA, and we are all so grateful for both of you and always being here for that. Carmel and Eli, graphic design is a tough job, I'll admit it, but you two pulled it off. Right off the bat, Eli made 6 stickers for CROYA, and your guys' team helped advertise CROYA to show people the beautiful work of art that it really is. Kiara and Casey were the music chairs this year. Tying bands to CROYA is such a meaningful thing, and it attracts so many different people from our town who look forward to the events you guys plan every year. And I'm looking forward to Battle of the Bands this year. Last but not least, Jacqueline, Annie, and Sophie. It's quite obvious that you all love what you do, especially Annie, who always sells award-winning amounts of setups every year. You three make a fabulous team. Jacqueline, I cannot wait to see the things you'll accomplish next year as chairwoman. With that being said, I would like to call up Jacqueline Rubin and the new exec board onto the stage and welcome them as next year's team. So can she call up everyone else?
Okay, I'm gonna ask the new exec board to stand. Let's all give them a round of applause.
Are they coming up or no? Are they going to come on stage? Okay.
Oh yeah, everyone can introduce themselves. Yeah,
Does
does
everyone
everyone
wanna
want to go around the room and introduce themselves and what position you will be next year? You can start with Abby. I haven't done this in 3 years.
Okay, then I'm actually gonna have the new board stand up one more time. Okay, final round of applause for everyone.
Okay, now I'm gonna read the oath. Can I take this down? Okay, so I'm going to read the oath. So you're gonna repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jacqueline,
There you go. Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and spread the mission
that I will support and spread the mission
of the committee representing our young adults,
of the committee representing our young adults,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
I will continue to live up to the standards of CROYA
I will continue to live up to the standards of CROYA
and enforce the same standards onto my peers.
and enforce the same standards onto my peers.
Woo! Yeah. You guys can sit back down.
All right, well, congratulations. I know there's a number of the new exec that weren't able to make it here tonight. Maybe they'll be showing up late, but we just want you to know we're really excited. This group of 22 students is going to take CROYA into the next year, and we've really had a wonderful time finding those students and recruiting those students, but also knowing that they're really being acknowledged as kids that everybody at CROYA voted in to make sure that CROYA will be taken care of in the year to come. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is talk a little bit about the CROYA Foundation. CROYA Foundation was created in 2003 as we renovated the space that we called home. It was a one-room schoolhouse in the CROYA, in the rec center, attached to the rec center. And then in 2006, we broke ground on this three-story facility we call the Student Union. By 2007, when we were finished, we had created one of the greatest fundraising projects in Lake County history of $3 million with more donations under $1,000 than they'd ever seen. And what we figured was everyone just wanted to be part of the CROYA fundraising process, no matter how large or how small. And the CROYA donor wall is back here. The people that gave at least $1,000 are named on the wall, and anyone in the $500 range are listed on bricks right outside the door when you leave, you can see. So it's been a wonderful community effort. One of the things that the CROYA Foundation was able to do during the pandemic was really provide for us some creative ideas. The kids came up with these ideas and we said, what is it that we need to do? We were able to hire a local artist named Tommy Quinn, who was a graduate of the high school in 1999. Between City Hall and Metra and the Lake Forest High School Art Club, led by Carolyn Bielski and myself, we put together the project of a lifetime. And I think what you see out there is really an amazing rendering of the 40 years of CROYA, the words, the pictures, all the ideas, and then the big picture of we belong. We knew that when we talked with the kids, the most important part of what CROYA has provided over all these years is a place where everyone belongs. And we remind ourselves of that every day, every week, every month, whenever we're dealing with issues that kids are facing. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. Every May, we go through this. If you look over here, we have a banner that's put up from one of the graffiti walls that's out in open lands. We're not condoning graffiti, but we're acknowledging that the Pause for Patrick group has identified this as an important piece of art because Patrick Romer painted the paw print in the middle. And we have that up there for the next few weeks, and we're going to allow students to actually graffiti the banner so that if they have something meaningful to say or meaningful to draw that could be inspirational, supportive, or important in the life of kids struggling with mental health issues, that's where we want it to come out. And so we're looking for people to be doing that in the next couple weeks. All right. Before I go into these foundation awards, because I don't think I get to wrap things up today, I think that's Catherine's job. I just want to thank our CROYA staff. This has been an incredibly challenging year. The things we've had to do are different than any time we've ever had in this facility. Catherine, of course, mentioned that she's really only been here for 5 months during a normal time. The rest of that's been during the pandemic. The amount of time that we've had to reposition things and pivot to be able to enjoy the time with the kids and have them in the facility has been pretty amazing. So Catherine, welcome aboard, and I hope that this year ahead will be very much like what we're expecting. Leslie Walton, the middle school youth worker, I want to appreciate you for all the things you've done to keep us focused. She's our longest standing staff member besides myself, and a lot of times reminds me of some of the very important things that we're trying to accomplish and making sure that the Deer Path Middle School and Lake Bluff Middle School know that they're just as important to us as the Lake Forest High School. All right, and then Rick Day, appreciate all the things that you've accomplished. We wouldn't have been online, we wouldn't have been doing live streaming, we wouldn't have been doing Zoom calls, we wouldn't have been making these creative videos if it wasn't for Rick. That's a talent that he brings that's very exciting for us on a daily basis. And Margot, if you're watching, you can thank Rick as well. Susan Sims, our administrative assistant, really is kind of the glue that holds things together and really been an exciting person as a part-time person with the rec center for years. We then brought her into CROYA, and now she's a full-time employee for the city, part-time with CROYA, part-time with the city, but it feels like she's full-time with us because her desk is right next to mine. And then we have Sally Swarthout, who's my direct supervisor. We've had a wonderful relationship making it through this tough time. Of course, many months it was in quarantine. Since we got back here at the end of the summer, we've really partnered to make sure that we can do everything that we can to provide for the kids. And then also our city manager, Jason Wisha, really have appreciated getting to know you in your new years with the city and appreciating the value that CROYA brings and understand how important it is that we continue to support the youth for the next 41 years. So with that, we'll get back to the foundation. We were able to create this incredible mural. We were able to do some other great projects, and in 2 weeks, we'll be out here celebrating the 41st anniversary. What the CROYA Foundation stood for in the beginning was expanding and providing opportunities for all kids. But then with Jean Hotchkiss's guidance and Margot Martino's guidance, we decided that it was going to be important to recognize some of the students in a bigger way, not just by saying you've won this award or you're the best at this or you've really accomplished this for CROYA, but to provide a little bonus to these students that could potentially help them as they move to the next stage of their life, whether it be college or other activities that they take on. The first founder of CROYA that we honor is a guy by the name of Frank Farwell. Frank Farwell was a lifelong resident of Lake Forest, and he was the former mayor of Lake Forest. He passed away in 2010. He was the city's 7th mayor, and his father, who served as mayor in the 1930s, was one of the original mayors. Frank died at the age of 88 and was very aware in the late 70s when the community faced a serious issue involving teens, including suicides, destruction of property, and even gang activity in Lake Forest. And there's a book called The Losers that documents that activity. At that time, Frank was an alderman, as I mentioned, and was given the responsibility to lead the charge in figuring out the best way to support the youth at this time, at this critical time in Lake Forest and Lake Bluff history. He basically led a committee of adults through discussions that later became what was originally CROYA, a committee that represented the youth as opposed to the youth themselves. Frank dedicated his life to volunteering and giving back. As mayor, Frank was instrumental in CROYA's dramatic expansion. The Frank Farwell Community Service Award honors a student who's been made community service a regular part of their daily life. Applicants are asked to describe how volunteering for community service projects have been a big part of their life and involvement at CROYA. This year's winner was part of the CROYA Exec Committee during their junior and senior years. They attended almost all of the weekly high school meetings. They participated in and led CROYA retreats and dedicated many hours to the poinsettia sales. This year's winner shared that CROYA has truly shaped them into the person they are today and has helped them to become the best version of themselves. CROYA has given this person a place to go whenever they need help or just to talk. CROYA has also given this person forever friends who have positively impacted their life. In addition to building these close relationships, CROYA has also inspired them to get involved in many service projects, some of which include Feed My Starving Children, PADS, and the Fill a Heart for Kids Foundation. This year's winner gives back to the community through a nonprofit organization started by their father called A Meal to Heal, which provides gift cards to popular restaurants for families who have lost a loved one. Providing this support makes them feel better knowing they are helping these families in their healing process. This person is thankful for the many opportunities CROYA has provided them to lead others and to influence them in positive ways. They applied for this award because they want people to know about their love for CROYA and how grateful they are to have had a place like this throughout their high school years. The winner of this year's Frank Farwell Community Service Award is Annie Kelly. You want to come up? Each of the awards tonight is given a $1,500 check from the CROYA Foundation. Thanks, Annie. All right, and now I have the honor of introducing my friend and mentor, a guy that I really have appreciated for all these years. Gene Hotchkiss was a longtime president of Lake Forest College. The legend has it in the late 1970s when Frank Farwell was being asked to start this group for kids, he picked up the phone and called Gene Hotchkiss, who was the president of the college, and said, "Gene, I got a big project I need some help with." Well, Gene jumped in the late 70s, and he's still supporting CROYA 41 years later. Gene worked directly with Frank to get CROYA up and running and has provided incredible leadership and support to myself and the rest of the CROYA organization, and even served as the president of the CROYA Foundation for a few years. Gene is an academic. He's a community leader and an author who also provided great insight to the CROYA Foundation during its major fundraising campaign to build this building, the Student Union. Gene, I'd like you to come up and present the award.
He did not tell the full story. The full story is that Frank Farwell asked me to lead this, to create this organization. And I said I'd have to think about it. And I talked to my wife and she said, "You didn't take that job, did you?" And I did. So that's the full story. Now, and while I'm going to honor one person tonight, I want to honor all of you because you lived through this year of difficulty. You maintain the spirit of CROYA. You didn't let that spirit fail, and that's important. I think that many of us have lost our spirit during this pandemic, and you people kept it going, and I can't think of anything more important than that. Now you got to know I'm going to be a little verbose because guess who wrote these comments? He's over there. And he doesn't know that, you know, one paragraph will be enough when he gives me 3. But be patient. I'll get through it, okay? We'll make it through. but because it's a Gene Hotchkiss Community Citizenship Award. I don't know if I want to parse that sentence, but we'll go ahead. CROYA, I'm told, I know, takes a lot of pride in being an organization that promotes creating meaningful relationships, learning leadership skills, and training others with unconditional positive regard. Citizenship is about showing respect, being helpful, and being willing to put others first. This award, the Hotchkiss Award, goes to someone at CROYA who truly leads by example. They take on multiple leadership roles and understand the importance of being inclusive to all. They are seen at CROYA as a valued friend and loyal confidant. By their words and actions, this person makes CROYA a better and stronger organization. The winner of this award regularly attends weekly CROYA meetings and helps to create an inclusive and genuine space where others feel comfortable. They were a member of the executive committee, and they were also a retreat leader. They helped write the CROYA 40th anniversary magazine you are all going to be given later. They participated in peer training as well as peer advance, and they truly lead by example. This person believes CROYA has made them a better place. They acknowledge how difficult this past year has been, and the stress has been overwhelming at times. At CROYA, they found a place where their worries couldn't reach them, a place where they are part of a community where everyone wants nothing but the best for one another. They even went as far as to say that CROYA set the bar for the type of people they should surround themselves with as they go through life. You know, a guy who's 93 finds it hard to use they instead of she, but you know how that goes. This year's winner believes that honesty and loyalty are their most important qualities, and it is these qualities that have made them a good mentor and friend. They will truly do anything for the people they care about, and they take pride in the value of telling those people they love them. This person makes a concerted effort to be outgoing so people will feel comfortable reaching out to them. As this person states, if people had doors, mine would always be open. That's a great statement. The winner of this year's Gene Hotchkiss Community Citizenship Award is Carmel Hickey. Can I shake hands? Yes. Congratulations.
All right, and before we go any further, I wanted to make sure you all knew that during this pandemic, just like last year, the foundation got creative. The foundation, instead of saying that they wanted to have one award for each of the scholarships, for each of the senior awards, they said, let's see if we can give a little bit more. So what you're going to hear tonight is more than one winning CROYA scholarship essay. And what we're excited to do is share with you that the youth that were part of the committee to choose the winners for this year felt so strongly that there were multiple essays that needed to be recognized. That's what we're going to be able to do tonight. All right. So Marga Martino, as I mentioned before, she was really the one who showed up at the meeting that they were planning back in the 70s, in the early 80s, and they were getting things started with CROYA. And she said, hold on, hold on. How are you going to represent the youth of this community when there's no youth at the table? And so what ended up happening is they asked her to work at CROYA, and she became the longest tenured director for so many years and has still been a mentor of mine and someone that I have been able to connect with on a meaningful basis for years. A couple stories that Margot asked me to tell. One was during a summer jam program, there was concern down at the beach about the fact that there was going to be too loud of music. And the community members that lived right down at the beach were really, really bent out of shape. And this summer jam program was going to be a huge hit for the kids. Well, lo and behold, the day or two after the event, there were calls from all over saying how disappointed they were that the city allowed them to do this loud, raucous event and couldn't believe that that was the way we were going to promote the youth of this community. Little did those people know that the event had been canceled due to rain. That's what they were dealing with back in the early 80s. People that didn't want to support the kids because they were too concerned about the issues that they might bring. 41 years later, we're rocking it, right, Casey? In order to promote that summer jam, the kids at the time convinced Margot to put a speaker in her car like the old Blues Brothers did and go around Lake Forest advertising for the date and the time of the summer jam and get everybody to come. Well, the kids were the ones laughing when she got pulled over. And they said, this is not the way you promote CROYA events. Could we please do this in a different way? And finally, she said that the photo scavenger hunt, which we do now over digital phones and all other devices, was done by Polaroid camera. And kids would take Polaroid cameras around town and take pictures of things and basically come back and add up their total points, just like we did a couple weeks ago here. One of the kids jumped out of the car and tore down the American Legion banner that was up on their building down the street off McKinley and brought it back because they thought that it was a really good historical item that would get them bonus points. Soon after, because someone was at the building, they called the police and the police came over and said, we'd like to retrieve our banner. And Margot, of course, had to say again, I'm sorry, but we'll do better. So all these years, Margot has been an inspiration to CROYA and always understood where the kids were at. This spirit of CROYA is about empowering the youth to be the best and to do their best. It also acknowledges that youth have many ideas, interests, and valuable skills to bring to a group. CROYA takes it a step further and puts the youth in charge of their own decision-making because CROYA is run by the youth and for the youth. Their voice is genuinely heard. This award goes to individuals that truly embody these characteristics every day. They believe that being involved in CROYA has changed their lives for the better. There are the winners this year of the CROYA Foundation Margot Martino Spirit of CROYA Essay Award, and we're going to start with Leslie Walton reading the first one.
People most often think of home as a physical structure that you live in with your biological family. I think most CROYA kids, including myself, have a deeper understanding of home. I spent most of my freshman year feeling anxious in my own home. I struggled with my own mental health along with trying to take care of family members who struggled themselves. I never felt that I had a place to relax and let go. I never thought that I had that place to truly be myself until CROYA came along. I went on my first CROYA retreat the fall of my sophomore year. which was really the beginning of my CROYA high school experience. It was nothing like I had ever experienced before, 80 kids breaking down their walls and opening up to those whom they never thought they would. I was lucky enough to be able to attend the spring retreat later that year. My assigned group truly changed my life. My two leaders, Francis Hickey and Lucas Redding, made our group a family. I shared things on this retreat that not even my closest friends knew. I shared about my mother's schizophrenia and how I battled depression, anxiety, and an eating disorder, all results of the stress her condition put on my family and me. I know it sounds cliche, but for once I felt a weight off my shoulders. I had talked to therapists and social workers, but nothing quite matched CROYA. To be among my peers and accepted for all that I am and all that I'm not, it's a feeling everyone deserves to feel always. This sense of acceptance pushed me to become involved in CROYA activities. For one of my times volunteering at CROYA at the poinsettia sale, I was lucky enough to deliver poinsettias to Mrs. Martino herself. We rang her doorbell with bags upon bags of poinsettias in our hands. She ran to the door with joy. Her face lit up when she saw that Todd had decided to bring youth to deliver that day. We spent 30 minutes or so talking to her about old CROYA stories and how they related to what we were doing. It was truly heartwarming to see how CROYA has not changed. Through its 40 years, the organization is still run by kids for the kids. I think Mrs. Martino saw this too. She could not stop smiling. As we left that day, she gave my friends and me the biggest hugs and thanked us for our help with CROYA, and nothing felt better. This spring, I had the privilege to attend and lead what was unfortunately my last retreat. After nearly a year at home due to the pandemic, my fellow leaders and I pondered with our retreatants what makes a house a home. Everyone had their own opinions, but what we could all agree on is that what makes a house a home is not the foundation, insulation, or wood, nor is it the location, the size, or the style. It is a place where you can not only be your best self, but your full self, where you don't feel pressured to hide any part of you or be something that you aren't. They always say at CROYA that everyone has a chapter of their life that they don't read aloud, and maybe home is where you can. I was welcomed into CROYA as a shy, anxious, unsure of herself freshman and was greeted that day by some who have become my best friends now. The people I'm afraid to leave behind, the people who make this place my home. I am sad to leave CROYA and all the people I have met here. Even more, though, I am grateful. Grateful to be part of a place it is so hard to leave. Grateful to leave these doors as a confident, well-rounded individual, all thanks to CROYA. This winner is Anna Seifert. Thank you.
I will be reading the second essay winner. It'll all work out has always been the common idea that CROYA advocates. I repeat this to myself when I feel stressed or things do not go the way I had planned, but deep inside my mind, part of me wondered, what if things just don't work out? To be honest, I have always hated how I handled everything going on in my life. Sitting on my bedroom floor, feeling as though I had hit rock bottom, I held myself as I uncontrollably sobbed over my own existence for hours. On one of my first retreats, I laid on the uncomfortable wood floors of the Camp Henry Horner Rec Hall. As we watched Perks of Being a Wallflower, which I noticed most people were sleeping through, I gazed in astonishment as I watched Charlie soar through the tunnel. The wind brushed his face and hair as he reached the end of the tunnel and hoisted himself freely out of the sunroof. I quietly dissolved into tears and acted as though I was asleep as well. I did not ever want people to see my struggles, especially over some movie. But this was not any ordinary scene I had ever watched. This one hurt. Everything in the world seemed to work itself out for Charlie. Why couldn't it for me? They say once you've hit rock bottom, there is nowhere to go but up, but I was stuck, unable to pull myself up. I knew I could no longer pretend that everything would just naturally fall into place somehow, though. I had to take control of my life. My post-retreat high was like no other. I've never felt like I was good at making friends until now. I channeled this into being at CROYA as much as I possibly could. I ran for exec, went to almost every meeting, and came for countless chats with the staff after school. I could tell they worried about me, and to avoid being a burden, I put on a happy, smiling face for everyone around me. Slowly, I did not have to try as hard to act like someone I was not all the time. I built incredible friendships at CROYA and found people I could turn to. My emotions were no longer a dark abyss trapped inside my body. Every time I walked through the CROYA doors, I felt as though a massive weight had been lifted off my shoulders. CROYA makes my bad days good and my good days better. At my very last exec meeting, we went around the circle to share some of our favorite CROYA memories. All that was on my mind was the tunnel scene. I was so worried about the light at the end of the tunnel and searching for any small glimmers of hope in the future when all I should have been focused on was going through the tunnel itself. Going through the tunnel is all about the journey to happiness and discovering my own self-identity, not the destination at the end. CROYA has been my tunnel throughout high school, giving me a shelter and a place to feel as though everything really will all work out. I look back at my tunnel experience, and I'm so thankful for the amazing people and experiences I've encountered. I do not want to reach the end quite yet, as I will be leaving behind a major part of my youth and going to college. Our community is so blessed to have CROYA, and leaving it absolutely terrifies me. However, I know the light at the end of my tunnel is bright, all thanks to CROYA, and I cannot wait to take the wisdom I have taken from my experiences out through the tunnel with me into the rest of my life. This essay was written by Kerrigan Weston.
First off, I just have to say, Catherine watched me spend about 45 minutes make CROYA float behind the stage, and then it slowly just fell apart. So I'm a little disappointed with that, but we will roll on. This is our third and final essay. I read it before. I will be referring to myself in the third person. I'm just gonna roll with it, just embrace it. Okay. CROYA is more than just a group of letters or an after-school club. It's a family, a home away from home, and an essential part of my high school experience over these past 4 years. It has led me to become the person I am today. The spirit of CROYA embraces all people regardless of their differences. It seeks to build connections and break down barriers that seem to be all over the place in high school. For some people, this spirit comes through in enjoying CROYA's many activities and retreats. Others cherish the friends they've made along the way, but what has stood out to me the most was the CROYA Battle of the Bands and music scene. During my freshman year, I tried to make friends through school, cross country, ice hockey, and track. Because I'd gone to St. Mary's for middle school, I didn't have many friends going to LFHS, and those that I was close with weren't in my classes. Nonetheless, I was optimistic that I'd find a good base of friends through sports in no time. Cross country went well, and I hung mainly with upperclassmen for a while, and occasionally with other freshmen on recovery days. But in late September, I got a severe stress fracture that fractured again in November and April. This led to a recovery that took until August of the next year, which meant I had to spend my whole year on crutches. The only outlets I had were exercise and singing weekly with a private teacher. It was a very difficult time for me. In middle school, before all the insecurity was waging, I felt very confident in myself and my abilities as a person. But all that I had seemed to have shriveled to nothing by the end of freshman year. I can't remember a weekend I had planned besides sitting on the sidelines of my cross country and track beats and crutching to the bench at an ice hockey game. Then, during the next fall, a couple cross country friends of mine, Elijah Feetsum and Trip Pierce, encouraged me to go to CROYA. I begrudgingly went along with them, knowing I wouldn't know a soul in my own grade, just a smattering of familiar faces that talk around me. But that was not so. As soon as I arrived, there was this sort of lightness in the air and a genuine love of people that resonated with me immediately. I remember Gina Sobey and a few other upperclassmen showing me around and getting me into the weekly activity. It must have seemed so small to them, but it felt like a weight had been lifted off of my shoulders. It completely changed my high school experience. I wanted to have that feeling, this spirit of CROYA, as much as I could. Little by little, I came back and picked up a few friends here and there through all the musicians I had heard about, or just seeing someone I'd talked to in the halls. I went on the fall and spring retreats and started to gain more momentum friend-wise with the confidence. What really tipped the scale, though, was when I decided to join the 2019 Battle of the Bands after an old friend of mine, Frank Pinn, made the school talent show with me. We had a ragtag crew of the four of us, Frank, Jackson, Fiona, and me. After grinding out covers in Jackson's basement for 3 days straight, we got ourselves a solid 30-minute set list just in time for the show. A few hours before the show, I broke my leg for the 4th time at track, but luckily I had crutches in the basement which saved me a trip to the doctor. I was so nervous because I hadn't performed regularly since doing the talent show in middle school. I didn't even wait for Rick to introduce my band. We just started playing right off the bat as I got my army of 10 water bottles sat right by my crutch. And that's a true story. That night was one of my most memorable high school experiences. In retrospect, we were no masters of our craft at the time, and me and my bandmates play the show off our phones for a laugh now and then, but it was all the work that went into the show by Rick Day and all the people who showed up to watch that ingrained it in my memory. With our faces up on the projector screens and the cool stage setup, we felt like a real band up there. For a moment, it didn't matter how many people I knew at the high school, where my confidence was for the time being, or what people thought of me. I had this unwavering belief in myself and the spirit around me that has stayed with me to the present. This spirit of CROYA that I felt led me to get more involved by running for music chair with Jack Levanway that May. I'd kept close tabs on the music scene in high school, although I wasn't involved with it yet, and I knew that Carpool was about to graduate and Grapefruit had formed just a year prior. It seemed as though they were the last of their kind, as I'd heard from Rick that the CROYA Battle of the Bands used to be jam-packed with music acts. I didn't want the creative, lighthearted, do-it-yourself attitude of CROYA's music to die off. During my term, I kept my ears peeled for anyone's interest or involvement with music. I'd throw in someone from the school band or orchestra and a song or two in my band sets, or ask students at School of Rock to cheer us on at a gig. This combined with widespread advertisement of new and existing events like the casual Autumn Jam or the Springtime Super Jam that started a true music revival in our area. In the talent show, we saw the emergence of 3 musical acts headed by young musicians, including 4 of which I contacted about getting involved with music at CROYA. Demi Romantic, Verdant, GSA, No U-Turn Ahead, and 2 new unnamed bands, and a smattering of side acts have formed in the past year and a half as a result of our efforts. To conclude my contributions at CROYA, I had the privilege to be a leader on my last CROYA retreat this spring, where I was able to see other high schools in a position where I once was and to get them to open up. It was one of those retreats that I didn't expect to fall in love with, but it turned out to be wonderful, as we were all so grateful to be there and share in the spirit of CROYA to nurse the wound that this pandemic has bore into the lives of us all. I know that through the guidance of the CROYA staff, this very spirit will continue for years to come, and I'd like to thank them all for what they've done for each and every face that walks in the doors. So I forgot to mention when I started, but this is actually an award that I won as a senior in high school, so it's always a big excitement to share it with the next generation, and this person is somebody who've gotten to know plenty, obviously being featured in this essay over the years, but someone who comes with a happy attitude, passion, the most passionate person I know about music, and I'm very excited. This is Casey Hippel's essay.
All right, one more round of applause. Okay. Thank you, everyone who applied for these awards. We are proud of all of you for applying. At this time, we would like to hear from the rest of our seniors. So if you are a senior, if you would please stand and share your favorite CROYA memory and your plans for next year. So we've got a microphone over by Todd that we are going to pass around. So if you're a senior, stand on up. Yes. Love that. All the seniors. Yes. Favorite memory of CROYA and your plans for next year. Or that too. That works too. Whatever you feel comfy doing.
Can I pull my mask? Okay. Hi, I'm Sophie Gambit. I'm a senior. Next year I'm going to the University of Michigan. So I'm really excited.
Woohoo!
My favorite memory was probably this past spring retreat. I honestly was pretty nervous. I didn't want to go on a retreat in a pandemic. And I was paired with Ryan McFadden, and I was really excited to be paired with Ryan McFadden. Right off the bat, we clicked so well, and I was so honored to lead such an amazing group of people. I made so many friends that weekend, and I just left on the most high I've ever been on CROYA. It just made me so thankful when I left that place. I just regretted all the days I didn't spend here at CROYA because this is where I found the best people. And even my best friends coming here with me, I've seen a side of them I would have never seen otherwise. And this is the most special place in this town, and I'm so lucky to have gotten to be a part of it.
Hi, I'm Carmel. I'm going to TCU next year. Very excited. And we had to answer this prompt, I guess you would say. I said my favorite part or favorite memory of being a CROYA was being on the stage, which makes me sound like so full of myself now. Something a little deeper than that. But come on, like, don't you feel cool right now?
It's kind of nice.
I'd say my favorite memory at CROYA is just the moment that I was able to walk in here and not be scared or nervous at all. Like, I think when I came in here as a freshman, obviously I was just like insecure and wasn't sure of myself, not full of myself probably. It was so fun getting to see everyone so comfortable, but I wasn't there yet. And I would say probably this spring retreat was like the first time where I was like, I'm so comfortable here, and I like know that everyone here is looking out for one another. And I think that was just my favorite memory because it not only showed the growth that I had had, but the growth that everyone else had had, because it's each other that, how do I like word that? It's each other that has made everyone so comfortable with being who they are here. And so I'm just thankful that I was able to contribute to that. I'm so thankful for all of you for being able to help me be my best self.
My name's Mimi, and I'm going to Boulder next year. And I'd say that my favorite memory of CROYA, it's not really a memory, but just something I love about it, is I got to grow with a majority of the same people. I've been coming to CROYA with around the same group of people since freshman year. So watching each of them grow as individuals has been really cool and something that I've loved to watch, just while I grow myself, and how they have all had such an impact on me. So I think it's been so meaningful and interesting to watch all of them grow and just see where all of our different paths take us. So, and CROYA definitely played a big impact in that, and all of the people I've met along the way. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm going to the University of Vermont next year. I'm gonna have to agree with Sophie. I think my favorite memory of CROYA, just like the spring retreat this year, was just such a good like wrap up for us. Like we all had such like a hard year, and we were all really nervous for this retreat, obviously, because it was during a pandemic. We had to have masks on, we had to be socially distant, and we were all very concerned about that. But just like when we got there, like the moment we got there, we were all just so comfortable. All the retreat leaders got really close, and our groups were just incredible, and everyone who went was just incredible. And so it was just a really good way to like wrap everything up, and it just felt like a good like closure for all of us, I feel like. So yeah.
Okay, so obviously right now I'm blanking on something very heartfelt to say, but oh wait, shoot. I'm Kerrigan Weston, and I'm going to Mizzou next year. So I thought I would share something a little like funnier. So at the 8th grade welcome party, we always play Flying Butts, where it's like musical chairs, but it's cutthroat and people push each other and get really into it. And I was just going in for like a nice slide, and Wes Dixon comes hurling like 100 miles an hour and like pushes me over. I'm like this little 14-year-old, and he's this big fat senior. And I got trucked in front of everybody. It was so embarrassing. And we like talked about it. And then he was my leader that following like years. That was kind of fun. That like I got to like make a friend and like get embarrassed at the same time. But CROYA is like truly the most special place on earth, and I am so thankful to have been a part of it. So I just wanted to share that little fun memory because you all have beautiful things to say. So I'll move on.
Hi, I'm Annie Kelly, and I'm going to be attending the University of Illinois next year. And this question is really hard for me because I remember at our last exec meeting, this was the icebreaker, and it took me like 20 minutes. I don't know if you guys remember that. But I'd probably say the most beautiful thing about CROYA is just the people. Like this, just like so plain and simple, yet such like big relationships and such happy relationships have been formed in these doors. And yeah, everyone that I've met here has just meant so much to me. And there'll be, whether it's relationships with the staff or even just the kids here, there are some relationships that'll last forever for sure. So yeah, and the poinsettia sale.
Hey, I'm Robin Koki, and I'm going to the University of Wisconsin next year. My favorite memory from CROYA is probably this last fall retreat because it was actually spring. It was actually my first retreat, and going on the retreat like taught me how to open up to people about things that I had always kept very personal. And also it just like made me more excited and comfortable coming to CROYA meetings afterwards. So yeah.
Hi, my name's Claudia Delhai. I'm going to Santa Clara University next year. Super excited. I'm gonna have to agree with Annie Kelly and say
Like you'd go like right here and you do like something and you like run and get a cone and come back. And nobody would volunteer to do it, especially like freshmen, because it was all like upperclassmen. And me and Mimi were like sitting back behind everyone. And Jack Page like picked Mimi out to do this like one relay race. Mimi gets like really dizzy really easily. And I didn't know this, and before she went, she told me, she was like, I get dizzy like really easily, like I can't do this. And she went up there, and Jack Page made her spin around in like circles for like a minute. Like it was really not long, and it wasn't bad. And you had to run, you like spin, run, and get a cone and come back. And Mimi gets up and she does like 10 spins, and she runs down to get this cone and just falls on like this entire row of senior girls. And it was like the funniest thing I've ever seen. But besides that, CROYA has like been probably my rock and has let me like go through high school. Besides that, CROYA has like been probably my rock and has let me like go through high school with the best people. And I'm really happy that I've had this opportunity and to pass it to my sisters too.
I'm going to give it to Bowder real quick.
Hello, I'm Owen Bowder. I'm also going to Miami University. I don't really have anything heartfelt that I thought of just yet, but my favorite memory was probably my spring retreat of my freshman year. Me and Brody Walgora's brother, Bo, decided while Brody was sleeping to duct tape him to his mattress and carry him over to the girls' dorm while everyone was sleeping around at like 2 a.m. And somehow he did not wake up until we got right into the girls' dorm and he started freaking out. But yeah, that was probably my favorite. Yeah, till but yeah, that was my favorite memory.
Well, I'm Trip Pierce, and I'm taking a gap year next year. I'd say my favorite memory from CROYA is probably my sophomore fall retreat. The first one that I went on was probably just talking in our small groups with Eli Feetsum, who's a man who's had a huge impact on me, and I met him through CROYA. So probably, yeah, just the relationships that I've built here have, kind of turned me into the person I am today.
Really quick, hang on, Casey. Owen and Tripp, you guys are not allowed to leave until you take your retreat sweatshirts home with you. Got it? Okay. It's been a whole year.
All right. Okay. I'm Casey Hipple. I'm going to Dayton next year. I got a lot of favorite memories from CROYA, but I think like one of my big favorite ones was even just this year. Just from that one of those earlier meetings with like the flower tag, like I just knew right away when everyone was like getting into it that we were just in such good hands despite like the circumstances. Like I just knew like because our exec was able to like pull it off and like everyone was able to get it going from like the freshmen on up to the seniors. Like I was just so happy that we could keep it together and we were able to maintain it through like the winter and in the spring obviously. But like I don't know, that was just like I just knew that we could trust in CROYA like as soon as that meeting happened, and especially seeing how wonderful the spring retreat turned out for everybody. So yeah, thank you.
All right. Oh, this thing's really close to my face. Hey guys, I'm Eli. I will be attending Iowa State next year. Along with Casey, there's so many memories that I've made at CROYA, but one specific spot that really stands out to me is my sophomore year at Camp Henry Horner, which was my first retreat. I had always had trouble branching out to people and like going and like trying to meet new people. So I was like really spectacle on like trying to go on the retreat because I was like, I'm not gonna know anyone. Like it's gonna be like such a weird experience. Um, Once we got to Camp Henry Horner, it was the complete opposite of that. It was a very welcoming environment, especially for my first retreat. Everyone was just had the biggest smiles, and I just don't know how to describe it because it's just such like an amazing thing. Like the Croy, like everyone talks about how the CROYA retreat is this amazing experience that you need to try, and the truth is that's correct, right? Like it's so eye-opening and it's amazing. So yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys.
And with that, I would like to thank you all for coming tonight to recognize our members of exec. Wait, what? Coming to, well, I missed a little thing. Thank you for coming tonight is what I'm trying to say. And thank you for helping us recognize our exec members and all their hard work over the past year. Thank you for all the laughs and the good times. And to our new exec, welcome to the 2021-2022 board. Round of applause. I'm so excited to see the great things that you will do for them. Seniors, thank you for always filling CROYA with energy. You guys are the reason that people keep coming back. So before you leave, there are cupcakes as a parting gift from Bent Fork Bakery. If you're gluten-free, we also have gluten-free cupcakes. And then board members and Sally and Jason, we have these beautiful plants that we've used as decor that you are welcome to take home with you. And with that, thank you so much. Thank you, parents, for coming and hearing why your kids love coming here so much. We can't thank you enough. You can also stick around. We might play the little slideshow that has some really great pictures, especially of Carmel and Avery and Mimi.